Welcome back to our journey through the fascinating history of Africa. Before the arrival of the Europeans, the continent was a land of mighty kingdoms and empires, each with their own unique culture, traditions, and architecture. These civilizations battled fiercely to acquire and defend their territories, and their stories are truly awe-inspiring. But everything changed with the arrival of the Western superpowers, and Africa was swept up in the frenzy of the scramble for Africa. Within just 45 years, 90% of the continent was under European control, and the map of Africa was completely redrawn. In this series, we take a deep dive into the pre-colonial kingdoms and empires of Africa and beyond. We're starting with the powerful and well-known Oyo Kingdom, one of the greatest civilizations in history. As we explore these incredible stories, we'll also examine the impact of colonialism, nationalism, and the tribal differences on this diverse continent. So buckle up and join us on this thrilling adventure through time. If you love learning about history and culture, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread the word and explore the wonders of Africa together. The Oyo Empire was one of the greatest and best-known empires of the Yoruba kingdom. It was located in the Savannah region below the bend of River Niger in present-day southwest Nigeria. The origins and early history of the Oyo Empire have yet to be clearly known. However, it is believed to have been founded in the 1300s by Orimiyan, grandson of Oduduwa, who was recognized as the father of the Yorubas. Between 1650 and 1750, the empire rose to power. During this time, the Oyo Empire grew in size and power, becoming the most important and powerful of the early Yoruba kingdoms. The Oyo Empire flourished until the late 19th century because of the Yoruba's exceptional organizational skills, trade wealth, and powerful army. Eventually, the Oyo Empire fell into the growing Islamic states to the north, and by the middle of the 19th century, the empire had already fragmented into several smaller rival chiefdoms. The origin of the Oyo Empire is linked with the great Yoruba ancestor and hero called Oduduwa, who is said to have migrated from Ile-Ife. Oduduwa had two sons. One time, the two princes decided to launch a punitive raid on their northern neighbors, Bogu and Nupe, who insulted their father, Oduduwa. However, the two brothers fought on their way to the battle, and their armies went their separate ways. The second prince, Orimiyan, had a small army that could not launch a successful attack, so he wandered to the southern shore of the land of Oyo. Upon reaching Oyo, Orimiyan was welcomed by the people, and he proceeded to establish Oyo as his new kingdom. Orimiyan became the first king or Oba with the title Alafin, which meant the owner of the place. Under the reign of Orimiyan, Oyo became the most powerful political force in the region by establishing its control over the neighboring kingdoms of Bogu and Nupe, and used those victories to expand its territory. Oyo started as a minor state that was powerless before other neighboring empires. However, the leadership of the Alafin became the driving force that established strong political, economical, and military organizations that would go on to make Oyo the strongest empire of the Yoruba kingdoms. After the death of Orimiyan, his son Obajaka succeeded as the Alafin of Oyo. However, Ajaka was dethroned after some time because he lacked Yoruba military virtues and gave too much authoritative freedom to the sub-chiefs of his kingdom. His brother, Sango, was then handed leadership. Sango later passed away, and the throne was handed back to Ajaka. Ajaka's return to the throne found him significantly more prepared for battle. He led Oyo to successful military conquests against several other kingdoms and eventually expanded his empire. Ajaka died, and Kori succeeded the empire. Kori would then go on to conquer a lot of what historians refer to as Metropolitan Oyo. Within a few generations after Kori, the Oyo Empire expanded to become one of West Africa's greatest and most powerful kingdoms. A monarchy ruled the Oyo Empire, and the Alafin had absolute power over the entire kingdom. It had established a political framework that was extremely sophisticated in order to control its various territorial possessions. Oyo's empire's administration was well organized, which was one of the factors that contributed to its success to a large extent. The king, or Alafin of Oyo, ruled over all the people under his authority as the empire's ruler and was responsible for their welfare. As part of his duties, he was tasked with preventing the attacks on the tributaries, mediating disputes between several sub-rulers and their respective populations, and resolving internal conflicts between the sub-rulers themselves. The Alafin also had strong support from a complex system of councils and advisors. This support constituted Oyomesi and Ogboni. These council members were in charge of ensuring that Alafin's power was kept in control. While the Ogboni represented the people's voice, the Oyomesi spoke out on behalf of the politicians. Whenever a significant event could affect the state, the Alafin was obligated to seek advice from them. Every council member had a responsibility to the state that needed to be carried out in the court every morning and afternoon. Furthermore, deputies were provided to the council so they might stand in their place when reporting to the Alafin in the event their absence was unavoidable. Additionally, the Oyo Empire was subdivided into a number of provinces, and Alafin appointed governors to each of these provinces so that he could maintain administrative control. These governors were in charge of ensuring that their respective regions remained free from lawlessness and disorder. They also collected taxes and tributes from the local inhabitants. In the instance where Alafin failed in his reign and the people no longer wanted his leadership, he would be compelled to commit suicide. This ritual assisted in the removal of ineffective leaders and also helped to ensure that their successors would be vigilant and knowledgeable in their leadership roles. Because of this political structure, the Oyo Empire was able to exercise efficient control over its extensive domains and keep powerful central administration in place. Trade was another significant factor that massively contributed to the success of the Oyo Empire. The Oyo territory eventually developed to include a variety of diverse range of environments, including sections of rainforest, dry forest, savanna, and mangrove swamp, respectively. With such great expansions into more land and resources, Oyo was able to exploit local resources in its empire, such as gold, ochre, and iron. In the same manner, the empire's growth made it strategically positioned at the crossroads of multiple vital commercial routes. As a result, Oyo became a hub of trade between West Africa, Europe, and the Mediterranean. Moreover, the Oyo people were skilled merchants, a quality that allowed them to cultivate positive ties with both the states bordering them and the European merchants who traded with them. The people of Oyo gained the most benefits from the savanna regions, which made it convenient for them to travel to other states and conduct commerce with the inhabitants of other states. The Oyo Empire also thrived because it provided the essential organizational infrastructure that was useful to facilitate the transportation of slaves from the interior of Africa to the coastal regions. In the 1700s, more than half of the slaves sold from Africa originated from the southern coast of West Africa. This region included areas controlled by the Oyo Empire, which became popularly known as the Slave Coast or the Gold Coast. This region flourished as a slave trade hub for two main reasons. First, it was amongst the most populous parts of Africa that Europeans could easily access. And second, the empires in control of the region provided crucial command infrastructure that facilitated good trade and movement of slaves from the interior of Africa to the west coast of the region, from where the Europeans shipped them to Europe. In exchange, the Oyo obtained European products, which they were free to put to their own use or barter with the kingdoms that surrounded them. The Oyo Empire utilized slaves within its own state structures. For instance, a significant number of officials in the administration of the military were of slave origin. This was significantly more prevalent in the Oyo Empire than it was in other states in the region. The Oyo Empire had an extremely well-organized and well-structured military that served to secure the kingdom and extend the territory under its control. The army consisted of foot soldiers, cavalry, and archers. The foot soldiers used spears, bows, and shields as their weapons. On the other hand, the cavalry had horses and lances or swords that they used during attacks. The archers had special skills that enabled them to shoot arrows from horseback or while on the ground. The Oyo Navy was an essential component of the Oyo military. The empire maintained a significant network of marine commerce channels, and the Navy was tasked with guarding these lines. Canoes were part of the arsenal of the Navy, and these vessels were used to patrol the rivers and eliminate any dangers. In addition, the Oyo Navy possessed larger vessels that were deployed for the sake of transportation and business. The Oyo military was huge, well-equipped, and benefited from adequate funding and support from its government. It was led by a commander-in-chief called the Basunru. The Basunru was in charge of both developing a general military plan and leading his army into combat. He received support from other high-ranking officials in the army, including the army commander, the navy commander, and the chief of the archers. In addition to its army and navy, the Oyo Empire had a sophisticated intelligence network responsible for gathering information about potential threats to the kingdom. This intelligence system consisted of spies who monitored the activities of surrounding empires and acted as informers to their kingdom. In addition, the empire was equipped with a comprehensive network of fortresses and castles that served to protect its lands. In addition to political stability and military prowess, the Oyo Empire was also renowned for its prosperous culture. Some of their rich cultural traditions, religious beliefs, and social customs were well known across their region. The Oyo people practiced farming, trading, and craftsmanship. Their culture was mostly influenced by factors such as religion and politics. The Oyo Empire's practices significantly impacted the development of their distinctive culture. They had a deep spiritual connection to the world around them, and their religious beliefs permeated every aspect of their everyday existence. This belief system was formed as a result of a combination of traditional Yoruba religious practices and Islamic moral precepts. They worshipped multiple gods and goddesses and believed that those gods and goddesses controlled different aspects of both nature and human life. In addition, the Oyo people had a strong belief in the existence of a superior being to whom they attributed both the origin of the creation and its continued existence. They honored their gods and ancestors by holding festivals and rites, and they believed that their gods and ancestors may have some say in how their lives turned out. Additionally, the Oyo people were renowned for their contributions to the fields of art and architecture. They were very adept craftsmen who produced sculptures, masks, and textiles that were stunning. They also were great architects, evidenced by the magnificent palaces, mosques, and public buildings they constructed. Their architectural designs reflected a blend of indigenous African traditions, Islamic designs, and European colonialism. The indigenous African traditions were seen through the use of mud and stones in construction, detailed carvings, heavy decorations of paintings, and utilization of symbols and motifs that are distinctive to the Oyo culture. Islamic architecture was reflective in the use of domes and arcs, geometric patterns, and calligraphy in religious buildings. The European influence is demonstrated in the construction of palaces using stone and brick and the use of classical design elements in those buildings. The architects also built a massive wall to surround Oyo City. This wall acted as a defensive structure and also symbolized the power of Alafin. Through its strong military and navy, Oyo subjugated all neighboring kingdoms, including the kingdom of Dahomey in the west and traded with European merchants on the coast through the port of Ajase, now Porto Novo. As Oyo's wealth increased, so did its leaders' political options. Some wished to concentrate on amassing wealth, whilst others advocated the use of wealth for territorial expansion. This difference was not resolved until the Alafin, Obiodun, reigned 1770 to 89, conquered his opponents in a bitter civil war, and pursued a policy of economic development based primarily on the coastal trade with European merchants. Abiodun's neglect of everything but the economy weakened the army and thus the means by which the central government maintained control. His successor, Alafin Owole, inherited local revolts, an administration tenuously maintained by a complex system of public service, and a decline in the power of tributary chiefs. As with many nations, excessive wealth almost always results in unrest, jealousy, and conflict among the nation's authorities. There was no exception made for Oyo. This conflict erupted due to the significant increase in the empire's wealth. Some of the rulers intended to use the money to strengthen their military, while others just wanted to get more money and build up a fortune for themselves. Over time, internal conflicts started to develop, leading to bitter and bloody political war and eventually weakening the empire's central government. Several factors are associated with the decline of the Oyo Empire. The first thing that contributed to the decline of the Oyo Empire was its own political instability. The Alafin was supported by his council in decision-making. However, there was no clear model of succession, which resulted in frequent conflicts for power amongst the various top leaders in the kingdom. This situation weakened the central authority of the empire, and the power passed to the regional leaders, who gradually grew more autonomous. Because of this, there were various centuries of authority inside the empire, making it difficult for the king to control the situation. The second reason that led to the collapse of the Oyo Empire was the pressure from outside sources, especially its surrounding states. The Oyo Empire was situated in a location that was strategically significant, and as a result, it was perpetually under attack from the states that bordered it, all of which desired to increase their land's holdings. The pressure was made even worse by the fact that the Oyo Empire was in a state of political turmoil, which made it simple for other states to take advantage of the Oyo Empire's vulnerabilities. In particular, the invasion of the newly risen Fon of Dahomey, followed swiftly by the Fulani Empire, successfully expanding its territory into that of Oyo Empire, and by the late 19th century, they had effectively eliminated the Oyo civilization. Another factor that contributed to the fall of the Oyo Empire was its economic instability. The kingdom had a significant economic reliance on trade, and a significant portion of its riches came from the sale of commodities such as textiles, salt, and horses. However, the empire was also susceptible to frequent attacks from its neighbor states. These invasions disrupted trade and caused harm to the economy. In addition, the empire's internal political instability and power conflicts made it impossible to maintain peace, which in turn made it hard to attract traders and other economic actors. This caused a decrease in the kingdom's wealth, which in turn weakened its ability to defend itself against attacks from the outside. Lastly, environmental factors also influenced the fall of the Oyo Empire. The empire was located in a region that was prone to drought and famine. Because of this, it was not easy to maintain the kingdom's ability to provide for its population. As a result, the empire could not maintain its stability as well. In addition, the Oyo Empire was highly dependent on agriculture, but due to the many droughts and famines that occurred during this time period, it was difficult for farmers to produce enough food to keep the populace alive. Because of this, the population began to decrease, which in turn contributed to a general deterioration in economic and military power of the kingdom. The decline did not result in the complete removal of the monarchy, as to this day, descendants of Oyo's royal dynasty continue to use the title of Alaafin. In contemporary Nigeria, the Alaafins are called upon to serve in an advisory function for the state, as well as to preside over various religious ceremonies. However, they no longer rule the people. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the pre-colonial kingdoms and empires of Africa. We hope you enjoyed learning about the incredible stories and cultures that make up this diverse continent. As we reflect on the impact of colonialism, nationalism, and tribal differences, we encourage you to continue exploring and engaging with the history and current events of Africa. By understanding the past, we can better appreciate the present and work towards a brighter future. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating content. And if you have any suggestions for future topics or feedback on this series, please leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching, and we look forward to exploring more of Africa's rich history and culture with you soon.